Yeah, yeah. In your house with O'Con. Hey, O'Con in your house. Hollywood in your house. Hypocrisy's head in the clouds. Curating all kind of loud. Wrestling in front of the crowds. Paragon's holding it down. Anybody can get it. Josh Joseph standing on his decisions. He is the voice. There is no choice. We as them boys in your house making wrestling noise. Moving fast just like cruiserweight action. In your house is the perfect distraction. Pumpers in your ears when you in traction. Get this work with some wrestling action. Smoke. What is up, guys? What is cracking? It's the Calm Man, and I am in your house. And you guys already know the vibes. Anytime we slide on through, we're here to give you that work when it comes to this professional wrestling business. And guys, it is Thursday. And guys, you know what happens on a Thursday, on a day here at In Your House. And guys, you guys know what time it is. It's time. All right. Oh, you guys hear the music. Yeah, you guys know the vibes. That's right. That's right, you sons of bitches. It's time for the ECW Watch Along series here at In Your House. And guys, usually when I get extreme, I gotta get extreme with my man over here. He's the producer of the show. He is the voice and the educator of Extreme. Josh Joseph, what is up, brother man? I know you're excited for this one.
Oh, I'm super stoked for this one. Not only for me, but for you guys, the household, the ones who made this possible, who said, hey, yeah, we want that guy. We want to hear the story that you guys can get out of him. Like you did with Sabu, like you did with Fonzie. And voice, you did it on yourself. Raven. Raven's got a documentary coming out soon. Go check it out because, well, what I've seen from the trailer, it's freaking fantastic. But today is the day that we get the man himself. Howse, I'm super stoked for this. We should get the show going.
Yes, we should definitely get the show going because I'll tell you, we've been watching. I'm going to keep this super short. I'm going to keep this story super short, but we've been watching ECW for almost a year now. It has been great, but we've seen a lot of consistency. And one consistent, especially with what I do as a manager and as backstage correspondent for different promotions here in the Midwest, I always notice stuff like that. And I got to tell you, I noticed this man every single time that I saw him with the mic in his hand. And he's here now to talk to us in the household. But, you know, I can only do so much of a introduction. I got to give it to my man Voice, the man behind ECW. Go ahead and bring in our guest properly.
Well, fans, we are about to witness somebody who honestly made my parents and my aunts very uncomfortable during ECW pay-per-view nights. He had a very unique way of making everybody go, well, at least at 13, go, can I say that at school? You try it out, and maybe the girl with the developing, she smacks you. And it's all because of this man. This is the one, the man, the only. This is Joel Gertner.
The quintessential stud muffin himself is in your house. Thank you for taking your time to talk to us.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, this is awesome.
It is. It's a vibe, man, because like I was saying in the green room, as we've been watching all these weekly episodes, you've been such a consistent man with your charisma and your work on the mic, the confidence that you hold. Now, I know my man Voice here got a lot of questions, but, you know, I'm somebody, I come from a music background, a lyricist, as it were. And some of the stuff that you was spitting, man, back then, yes, it was vulgar, but, man, you had bars, bro. You was out there spitting. Like, how did you get so good at doing that?
I don't know. I mean, I grew up in Brooklyn in the 80s, so this is kind of a little bit the cradle of rap. And I would go to the mall, and there would be a guy slinging bootlegs out in front of the mall. CDs, DVDs, and he would be selling cassette tapes too, and I would pick up like Ghetto Boys, and I would pick up DJ Quick, and I would pick up Third Base, and just whatever was going on, like late '80s, early '90s. So
Yeah.
I was kind of into the scene. I mean, I was a early proponent as far as the Northeast of ICP, and they sent me in '97, I think, when I was in ECW. They sent me a nice care package, and I've been a Juggalo ever since for about
Oh,
years now. I was into Bloodhound Gang because Brooklyn. I was into the Beastie Boys. I had Brass Monkey and Paul Revere and all of them like memorized. I was into freestyle music. So I was into like Rob Bass. So like just all those kind of Brooklyn national anthems, which is either hip hop or about halfway there. So I kind of always had that flavor running through my veins,
yeah.
but I was just, I was heavy into wrestling. I was just big into, pro wrestling. That was just the thing. I wanted to entertain. I wanted to be the next Paulie, the next Jim Cornette, the next Bobby Heenan. And so I didn't really go into rap or anything, pop. I just decided to just, whatever I was going to do was going to be within wrestling. It all kind of was a work in progress. It was all kind of just episodic. It just grew and it grew. I had a joke book when I was a kid, and one
Wow.
was, "How is a penis like a Rubik's cube? The more you play with it, the harder it gets." So the first, just like Rubik's cube, the more you play with it, the harder it gets. That's it. One line. That's it. And from there, I was doing sonnets. I was going out in Orlando doing, I don't know, like 26 lines about Daisy Duck, and I had I went out there and memorized the whole thing. And I don't know, man. It's just, you talk about dropping bars. I guess I inspired some. I mean, Action Bronson, he's a real good dude. He's a cool cat, and
Yeah.
he's got me in the lyrics of one of his tracks. So
Oh,
I don't know, man. Just like you said, but is what it is. You know what I mean? Just a little bit, but I don't know, man. I love rap. I love hip hop, and I'm glad that you kind of deduced that from my work.
yeah, it was a vibe, man. I was just like, man, this dude is so cold. Like, I got a chance to, like I said, see a lot of your work on a weekly. But when I went back and listened to some of, like, it was just like a best of Joe Gert. And I was like, man, this dude is so cold. But listen, voice, I already know. All right, calm down, killer. All right, I'm about to unleash you. All right, do you got any questions for the quintessential stud muffin, Joe?
Oh, do I? I wish I had $1 million so I could have 1 million hours of your time, sir. I got so many questions, but I will keep them limited to the ones I've always wanted to ask you. Before I get into it, you were definitely somebody that I absolutely adored in ECW. You showed me that there was other ways to make an impact inside the promotion. The way you played off Joey Styles, it was almost like a big brother, little brother situation, but we just couldn't tell which one was the big brother at times. And the way that you just made everybody happy. I absolutely adore you and everything you did for ECW. And you make these watch alongs when you come on there. It's something special. We all stop, we listen, and we try to hear what Joel Gertner has to
We're
say.
like, oh, it's Joe Gertner again. What's he got to say?
Exactly. You always get a pop on this show because we just absolutely love what you contributed to the business.
Thank you. I really appreciate
Outside of that, I have to ask you because it seemed like you were really being pushed and like you were becoming another staple inside ECW. And then they interjected Cyrus the Virus. Now, I know on camera it appeared, you played the role very well. But as somebody who gets annoyed by people, it's really seemed that you really do not like this guy. And I just always wanted to know, is there any truth? Like, was there real beef between you and Cyrus the Virus?
No, actually, no, and actually, quite the opposite. Actually, I
Really?
respect number one. I was a fan of his work in WWF, the limited work that he got to show. when he was with the Truth Commission and all that, and when he was with or the Acolytes, everything he did there, as the Jackal, I was a fan of. So when I saw that he was in with us, I said to myself, this is great. This is an opportunity for me to make sure that I'm upping my game, stepping it up a notch, never mailing it in. That's the same way I felt when they had us programmed against PG-13 and I was out there with Jamie Dundee. It was the same exact thing. It was now I get to put my working shoes on and now I get to make sure that I don't get, outworked and so yeah, so from that aspect, no, and then also no. He actually taught me how to play cribbage, which is, I guess, a lot more popular. I think he got into the business a few years before I did, and a lot of the boys, kind of in the era before the '90s, like '80s, '70s, '60s, a lot of the boys going back played this specific card game called cribbage. I think it also culturally happens to be more popular in Canada than it is in the States. And I didn't know how to play it, and he taught me. We played it a few times. I housed him a few times. Beginner's luck, whatever. But between him just kind of forcing me to step up, or not, forcing in the sense that I'm my own worst critic and I'm a perfectionist, and I'm always going to force myself to step up. But between that and us playing cribbage together, I actually had no problem with him whatsoever, so that anything that you saw out in front of on that one side of the curtain, the performance side on camera, all of that was just work.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Sabu did the same thing. I had one opinion of him as a child watching him grow up, and he was like, "No, that's not how it was backstage." So I love that this is you doing the same thing. Speaking of the of Sabu, one of the biggest legends to ever grace ECW, um, with his recent passing, is there any Sabu stories that you have that made you, as the guy behind uh, the camera, like happy to think about, reminisce about? Nothing, I don't need any like real personal ones, but you seem like you really loved everybody on the roster and had a special connection with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, there's the one that's in Sabu's book, which I'm really kind of, I'm kind of, I've been neglecting doing the audio version of which Kenny Casanova has agreed that I could do. So I need to get on that. There is an audio version, but it's like AI right now. So I was going
Yeah.
to enhanced, a real kind of narration. But the story from there, and I told it at Sabu's memorial in Philly a few weeks ago. I felt like kind of a badge of honor, and I felt like kind of, in a sense, I had made it socially within ECW. When there was a room party at the hotel in Sabu's room, and I had been invited to it, and this was a big deal for me. So of course, socially, 21-year-old who's like the baby on the roster, and I decided that I would display my appreciation in the only way that I knew how. We were on the ground floor of this like kind of motel, and there might as well have been like poultry and chickens and farm range kind of animals outside, because I don't know, like we weren't in a city, so to speak. And it's a real party when like hour and a half has gone by and nobody said a word inside your own head, or there's just this kind of cone of silence around the whole room, and everybody's just decompressing, and everybody's just kind of blowing off steam, taking the edge off, not working, and everybody's like can't talk eating, it's like can't talk partying. And so it's been like an hour and a half since anybody said anything, and all of a sudden I go, Sabu, who hasn't said anything in an hour and a half, he turns around and he zones in right on me, and he looks at me because he knew that that's the only place where it could have come from. Because I said not to do that, And he was like, "There's turkey in the room."
I love that.
That's my Sabu. That's the Sabu story that was it put hair on my chest when it happened, and it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
I definitely know about that. I had the privilege to work with him on his podcast, and I was his last producer of his last 2 to 3 shows, and over a year, I developed a friendship with him, and that was like the highlight of my life. Like that dude is phenomenal. But I would like to bring in a question real quick
ooh,
from
are we bringing in our Discord?
yes, our Discord.
Yes.
We told everybody you were going to be on here because this is something special for us, and we wanted to make it special for our fans. So we asked them if they wanted to bring any questions in, and we have Klotz here. Growing up in South Philly, you would always hear your friends say he spotted a ECW wrestler walking around. You hear stories about the hotel that they stayed at, but it always wanted but I always wanted to know if there was a spot all the boys would go to drink, a strip club or just a spot they go. Uh, and he wanted to know if you remember one of his dad's friends, Tony the Hitman Stenson.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
just saw Tony at the One and Done TWA One and Done a few weeks ago. Yeah, yeah, love Tony. Was there a place where everybody drank? I mean, the hotel bar was usually good. These room parties, like a lot of the time, hotel bar would start going at about midnight, and it would go until about like whenever it closed, like 2 in the morning, and then everybody would just find wherever the spot was. Whether it was one of the boys or whether it was one of the fans or who this one brought beer and this one brought that and whatever, and it would just become turn the hotel basically into a frat party. You know what I mean? But yeah, was there a place? Was there a bar? I don't know. I mean, across the street from the Travelodge, there was this. I want to say there was a Chinese restaurant that sold like 6 packs near the Penrose Diner. Was there a place to go drink? There was a strip club that I think some of the boys had a link with called Cheerleaders. So there was that. Um, Found a way. Can't.
That's the answer right there. Always
Yeah.
find a way. Oh man, no, I love it. I love it. Listen, I enjoy it. I enjoy what I'm hearing here. Our Discord, they got some great questions, but I got questions too because like I've got a chance to see what you're doing. Big fan of your work. Just like watching what you do, and I work some indies here in my area for the last few years as doing backstage stuff and then manager and commentary and stuff like that. So I want to ask you this from a performer's perspective. You were out there for like some of the hottest crowds. What was that vibe like being able to perform in front of some of the hottest crowds in pro wrestling at that time?
In anything, because it was ECW, hottest in anything. I mean,
Hmm.
Yeah.
decibel level, as far as energy, as far as aggression, as far as just spirit, just the hottest crowds you could hope for, whether
Yep.
it's music, whether it's wrestling, no matter what it is. Hottest crowds in America, period.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, some of the hottest crowds in wrestling, even at the time, um, it was a blast. It was. It became. I don't want to say we took it for granted, but like it almost became like. I mean, we never had a crowd that was sitting on its hands.
Right. Yeah, no, you guys didn't.
Even when we were in front of 500 people instead of 5,000 people, it was always a hot, loud crowd. And I always loved that, because I fed off of it. You as a performer, to get energy so that you're able to, be in the moment and give back as good as you're getting. So it's necessary, and it was in abundance, and of course, like I say, I mean, if anything, I think we did the opposite of take it for granted. We had, ECW was on a shoestring budget.
Mhm. Mhm.
There was no pyro. There was really hardly any lighting. We didn't have any. We didn't have makeup. We didn't have this. We didn't have that. When it came to the Dudleys, because it was, the first thing that was going to hit you was me, and then eventually also there was Bubba. We didn't have music. We were the one act in a music-driven company that
Yeah.
we were sent out in silence. So you know what I mean? Like you figure
Mm.
Dudley time in the '90s were getting compared to the Road Warriors in the '80s. Road Warriors had Iron Man. You know what I mean? We had no
Yeah.
one out there to the sound of silence. So but yeah, I mean, great atmosphere. We loved the energy, and it was a blast. But again, for me, on a positive in a positive way, I had nothing to compare it to. It was all I knew. You know what I mean? I couldn't be
Yeah.
like, shit. I was in WCW 5 years ago. Those were the drizzling shits. We only had 900 people, and none of them were doing anything. I didn't.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I only knew ECW. So there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
No, that makes a lot
absolutely.
of sense.
For sure.
And plus, like you said, there was nobody sitting on their hands during an ECW show, and you see that throughout the entire watching it at home. I never had the pleasure of going to one. Always wanted to, and it would have been a dream if they ever develop a time machine. I'm gonna be at a show. I'm gonna give you a little tap on the shoulder too, and tell you some things, Joel. But
There too. You don't got to worry.
I love it. I love it.
Find me.
You mentioned the Dudleys, and I would be my cousins would kick me in the head if I didn't ask you a Dudley question. Uh, you seem to be held hostage for most of your Dudley um, interaction. So the way you played into that, I have to ask because the very first time I can recall seeing it is the dance with the hands, and it
Yeah,
was with the Dudleys.
yeah.
How did that come about? Were they involved in you doing this? Did you do it backstage sometimes? Someone thought it was a riot? What's the story with the dance?
Could have been that. So many things were that. See it backstage, and the dance. I think I just whipped it out. I think it was just, it was just, the power of the Dudleys compelled me, and I just think it was within me. You know what I mean? I don't think the dance is something that needs to be too much read into or analyzed. I think it was just. I think it's just so like they're so violent. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
violent, and they were so aggressive. And a lot of the stuff that I was saying in the heel promos, whether I was talking about them or even myself, was also kind of violent and aggressive. That to bust out this dance that shows that I'm just a chubby butterball teddy bear, you know what I mean? I'm like the human incarnation of Ted, you know what I mean? I think it was just something that kind of suited the moment well as far as more of that kind of oil and water, like why do they hang out with him, or what does this dude see in them for friendship, and like I think it was just kind of that odd couple fish out of water, just another example of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you played it well. That dance, I still do it every once in a while when things pop off, at work or something. I'll do that little dance and just we have fun with it. You gave so many people a smile just for that one little thing, and just the fact that you don't have to read too much into it because the dance alone up against the Dudleys makes sense in a way, that yin and yang thing that
Yeah.
I absolutely love your choices with the Dudley storyline. You did everything perfectly with them. I'm so sorry they treated you. I mean, they treated you way better than anybody they have ever treated that they brought into the group. Uh, but was Spike really the most aggressive Dudley out of the whole group? I mean, he was the one who was kicked
He's
out
the
of the group.
craziest Dudley.
Mike was on acid. I mean, we didn't put it all the way out there like full blast, but like I guess the Easter egg that you're supposed to pick up is that his initials, Little Spike Dudley, are LSD. Like, guy and everything. So, like, I think that he was supposed to be this, like, the runt of the litter that dropped acid one time and never came back from the trip.
Wow. I love it.
So in a way, I guess he kind of was. Um, he was an awesome part. It was just all. I mean, it was just a Saturday morning cartoon, except it was a Saturday late night cartoon. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I
Oh
watch.
yeah.
You know who I like? I like Thea Hale in NXT.
Oh
Oh yeah.
She's like a cartoon. You know what I mean? Like she's like
Yeah.
Canadian Devil. Like she's got all this energy and she's so funny and she's so fun to watch. And like in the same, like that's how we were, Bubba and Devon and then Spike and then me. For as it was effective, it was aggressive. We would win, we would get over, we would win championships, we would be top guys. And at the same time, we were cartoons. We were just basically your Mr. Magoo, Ricochet Rabbit, Magilla Gorilla, like
Yeah.
that for what we were. You know what I mean? We were just characters, and so yeah. And I think Spike was such an important part of that.
oh yeah. Yeah, I highly agree.
So
Our
cool.
chat is blowing up, and
Yeah, they really is.
we're gonna get kicked off of here if we don't ask this question from Brian Turner. He says, "Tell Joel I said hello, and do yourself a favor and ask about Joey Jaguar."
Yes.
Uh,
Very early days.
Deep cut, Brian Turner, right?
Yes.
Thank you, man. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for noticing. And acknowledging the history. I was not expecting to get a Joey Jaguar related question today. I wonder if he's
Awesome.
from nearby in the New York City area. But yeah, before I got to ECW when I was a teenager, in my late high school and early college years, so from let's say 16 to 19, 16 to 20, um, I was Joey Jaguar. And then I was really trying to be the next incarnation of Paul E. Jim Cornette, just a kind of silver spoon in my mouth, snot
Mhm.
punk, um, club going city kid. Um, Yeah, and that's what Joey Jaguar was at the Lower East Side Wrestling Gym, and on the independent circuit in Brooklyn and surrounding areas. So yeah, Joey Jaguar is the pre ECW kind of the first 4 years of my wrestling career.
Wow, that's
Yes,
awesome.
that's amazing.
And Brian is saying he's from Nashville.
Oh wow! I wonder if he met me while I was there. I lived in Nashville for about 4 months.
Okay.
Bart Sawyer. And I did the indie territory down there. There were about three different companies that I bounced around with. And what's fun about that is I actually, so I did on the WB Saturday mornings, I did NWA. I want to say it was main event. I think I did that as Joel Gertner. Maybe not as the quintessential stud muffin. I can't remember,
Mhm.
but maybe I did that as Joel Gertner. But there was one night at the fairgrounds working for Burt Prentice that I said, you know what, tonight let's have some fun. And I was staying with a dude and I kind of dressed up. He had like all the right stuff for it. He had like the cargo pants, like the caffeine cargo pants. And I flavor. And I had a Tigger, like that you could pull a string on his back and he would talk to you. And
Oh,
I
wow.
I had all this ammunition. I had all this like lollipops in my pocket of the cargo pants. And I went out as Joey Jaguar, but not the same Joey Jaguar that I was as a teenager.
Mhm.
Instead, I went out as Joey Jaguar, a raver who went out there and would get his instructions and advice from a stuffed Tigger that along to the person that he was managing, because it would be ridiculous for a wrestler to constantly throughout the match have to pull Tigger's string. It wouldn't be efficient. So I would be out there as the liaison talking along the Tigger. So Yeah, so that's what Joey Jaguar did in Nashville. But yeah, man, I wonder if I knew Brian Turner during those days. That would have been late 2002, early 2003.
He said, Roxon and Dustin, Slacker J. And he did say Bert's name. So every time you said something, he was already had
Yeah,
it
he
in
was
the
on top of it.
chat. You were just like narrating what he was saying.
I knew this cat. I'm sure we met when I was down there for those 4 months. Yeah, man, Brian, be in touch. Shoot me a messenger or hit me up on IG at Quintessential Stud Muffin, and we'll stay in touch and we'll figure out some of the old stuff from '02.
Yeah,
Awesome. That is so awesome. That's cool. I'm glad I was able to make that connection.
he has some footage of your managing stuff back then. NWA main event. Yeah, that's awesome.
USWA main event, USWO, and I can't remember the third one. I worked for Tony Falk, Mike Porter, Burt Prentice maybe once. So those might have been the three, maybe just Burt Prentice once. But yeah, because I was down there for, oh, wait, I did one small show in McMinnville, but I almost forget even for who and what the name of the company was. But yeah, I was down there in Nashville for about 4 months trying to be local and get back on with TNA.
That's awesome.
That
That's
is
awesome.
crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, voice. I know we still got some more Discord questions. I know we have them from Nightwing. So let's go ahead and get to one of our Discord questions just so we can make sure we staying true to the guys that come into Discord, because that's the only way you guys are going to get this exclusive type of treatment here in the house. You got to join the Discord. I keep telling you guys every episode, make sure that you join it. And we have Nightwing here, and he says, could you ask him for me, was he not offered the chance to go to the WWF with the Dudleys when they left ECW?
It's a tricky. I never want to overstep and feel like I know the answer to the question more so.
Sure.
So I always take a step back and I preface by saying it's a tricky question. On the one hand, in '99, when Bubba and Devon were getting ready to leave in mid '99, and when I was getting ready to sign my first contract and get the TNN gig, this is all happening in Act 2 of '99. All of it. Like April to August, everything is going down in those weeks. And at one point, I think before I signed the contract, but Bubba was probably privy to knowing that I had been presented a contract to sign. They pulled me aside into a room, kind of, I think, to say, now, Act's going to get split up. We're going. And I don't know if they were trying to tell me, don't sign yet. We'll take you with us. There's interest in you. So that's as far as that goes. I don't know anything else. I do know there was a time, I think before I had signed my deal, I think before, or when I had the deal on the and I hadn't signed it yet. When you're kind of like, you never think you're going to look back, 28 years, 26 years after something. You know what I mean? It's just, you're just living your life. So I can't remember exactly what month, what year this happened, but I wound up on the phone with Terry Taylor, who at the time was with WWF. And he told me there was interest in me being the manager for their version of the Public Enemy. And what I mean, essentially the Public Enemy, Rocco and Johnny, and they were going to come into WWF and have me doing, the intros for them. And we talked possible potential money. And at the end of the day, the Dudleys pulling me into a room happened. Me being on the phone with Terry Taylor happened, and even if that's a little bit after the fact, after I signed my first deal, or maybe the deal had been breached at this point already, like I don't know, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
The chronology, like I said, a little bit fuzzy, but both of those things happened whenever they happened. The Dudleys pulling me into the room before they left, me on the phone with Terry Taylor. At the end of the day, the result is that I stuck it out and I kind of went down with the ship, I did get a release at the very end that allowed me to be able to talk to WWF, WCW. So I don't want to say I went down with the ship to imply that, like, here's March of 2001 and here's Paul, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., showing up at the desk on Raw, and I am still obligated to ECW. It wasn't that deep, but for all intents and purposes, it was, because effectively, I hadn't left for WWF, I hadn't left for WCW. I got a release that would allow me to be able to talk to them without there being contract tampering. I was on the phone with Paul, and I said, Paul, I'm never leaving. I said, you're my mentor. You gave me this break. You gave me this spot. Pay is like, I have no reason to leave. Like, I don't want out. And I'm seeing different writing on the wall, and I'm reading news, and I'm seeing things happen. And it almost seems like a fait accompli. And it almost seems like there is no ship to hold on to, and that's the vibe I'm getting. And especially if that's not true, I would need you to tell me, because you're a better arbiter of where things stand. And I basically asked him, I you know I need to do what's right for me and my family. What should I stay? What should I do? And I forget how I phrased it, but but not that he wanted to get rid of me, but he basically told me that perhaps I was right. It was time, and he would grant me a release. So was there an opportunity for me to go to the WWF? I don't. Maybe. I mean, whatever you can glean from that. And then there was ECW One Night Stand, and I did the '05 show, the first one, and Tommy was talent relations, Tommy Dreamer, and he was like, treat it like an audition. I treat every time I go through the curtain, I treat it like it's my first time. I treat it like it's my last time.
Mm.
So he said, treat it like it's an audition. So of course I did. Um, and then, didn't hear anything. And then they did the show in '06 that led to the sci-fi show, and I wasn't on that. And then I did the TNA ECW reunion show in 2010 that I think the other day or last week was the 15th anniversary celebration of that.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, was there a chance for me to go to WWF or WWE? Um, maybe, maybe. It just didn't play out that way. It wasn't in the cards. I
Sure.
so I haven't disqualified. I'd love. I mean, I'm a non wrestler. I'm not physical. I'm not an athlete. So I'm still in my prime, you know.
Yeah.
So I'd love, I would entertain any full time, regular, TV work with a major company. I would absolutely love to talk with them if they thought that they might have something for me. It's just, here I am, gosh, 5 weeks away from turning 50. And, just as of yet, have only worked for WWE, I want to say 2 days in my life. I had
Yeah.
Mhm.
a contract for One Night Stand '05, but really only did 1 day's worth of work. And then I went to Stanford one day to sit down and do talking head stuff for DVD projects.
Yeah.
So worked for WWE 2 days out of my life. So, and they treat me very well. On the website, every Hanukkah, they put me over as as a Jewish wrestling superstar. Uh,
Yeah.
a top 50 greatest talkers in the history of the business list, and they had me at the number 49 on there, which I was kind of like, 40. No, I'm kidding. But no, I was thrilled to even be on it because, as somebody who only did the One Night Stand pay per view, so never done any WWF pay per views, never done Raw, SmackDown, anything like that, to even be included in that list is really really cool. So I don't know. Time will tell. I would love nothing more than if chronologically, when the time comes, that it's Paul's preference that he just does not want to be on the road anymore or whatever, or doesn't want to be in his spot. And, if they were to come to him and say, you're irreplaceable, but what can we do about trying to get the next best thing? I would love it if he would pass the torch to me. That's something that would be
That
a
would
great,
be amazing.
that would be wonderful. And so I don't disqualify that. So I keep thinking, like I said, I'm turning 50, but for somebody who does what I do, I remember watching Lou Albano, and I remember watching Freddie Blassie, and those guys were not spring chickens when I was watching them in the 80s. So, yeah, WWF, I don't know, maybe in the future, who knows? Yes, yes, no, no, we shall see.
I would
I would
love that.
love I would absolutely love that. And hey, I mean, look at Paul himself, who as you I see him as a big inspiration for what I do. He's not, he's not an athlete or anything like that, and he's one of the biggest figures in WWE right now. I would love to see that torch get passed to you because you're so like watching all the stuff that you've done. You're so incredibly talented. I'd love to see the neck brace and the bow tie come back once again on my television. That would be amazing. But listen, we only got a little bit of time with you, so I just got like two more questions left for myself, and then I'll get one more here from Voice. You were talking about Thea Hell earlier, and I thought that was to me it was, but it wasn't random. But what it let me know is that you're kind of in tune with what's going on today's product. So, as somebody who was once again super talented as you were and sees wrestling the way that you see it and mentored by somebody like Paul Heyman, what's your thoughts on the current vibes of or the state of where wrestling is at right now? Do you catch Monday Night Raw, AEW? What are you watching? What are you checking out?
I watch everything, some of it, I'm a few months back on. And that's just because I try to watch all of everything. And then I'm
Sure,
watching movies and TV. My wife is a Hollywood publicist, so we're always trying to watch a little bit of non wrestling stuff too. Uh,
sure,
but but yeah, I'm kind of into everything. I still watch everything. I think the business is good. I think the state of the business is on one hand great. I think just first world problems. You know what I mean? Like it's a little bit
sure.
overexposed, right? There's a little bit of oversaturation. I don't want to be, back in my day, we had
Yeah, yeah.
and if you were lucky at TV, but we did. And back in my day, you could be spending a lot of money on $60 VHS tapes, a lot of money on pay per views, a lot of money on live event tickets, and a lot of money on merch. And you could be spending a lot of money, maybe even a lot more than some people pay now because there's so much out there for free. But back in my day, you could spend a lot of money and be a huge fan, and yet and still the wrestling calendar for the week went from Friday night to Sunday, and that's it. Until I guess there was primetime wrestling, and I guess there was Tuesday Night Titans, but until
Hmm.
Raw and then the Monday Night Wars, you could argue that there was Monday, but then beyond Monday, there was no Tuesday wrestling, there was no Wednesday wrestling, there was no Thursday, Friday. Now there's wrestling every day of the week. I'm not
Hmm.
saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying if we're going to nitpick and try, because the state of the business is so good, to find some bad in it, it's maybe a little bit oversaturated.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, if that's the worst thing, I think it's hot. You know what I mean? I think W
Sure.
is firing on all cylinders. I think AEW is quite viable. I think TNA is, um, they're kind of they come across a bit as a sub of WWE or
Yeah.
as metal for WWE, like Legacy does for UFC, like
Hmm.
WEC did for UFC. Like they kind of come across like that, but at the same time, the bean counters are probably thrilled that business is up and business is booming, and they had thousands and thousands of people on Long Island, and things are good. You know what I mean? ROH got saved, and it's part of AEW, so
Yeah.
ROH as a brand is still going. So and the indies. It used to be, you were lucky if you could get 300 people to come to your indie show, and now the indies are out there competing with each other. Who's going to get 1,000 next, and who's going to get 2,000 next, and it's just there's a lot of money out there for sports entertainment and pro wrestling. So those are my thoughts. I think the business is super strong.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree with you. Absolutely. And great to get your thoughts on it as well. I got one more, but first, Voice, I want to go ahead and give it to you. We got to let him slide out of here. But last question, last thoughts, whatever you got for the quintessential stud muffin, Joel Gertner.
All right, Joel, thank you so much for your time in this. And, that's the most valuable thing we have. And throughout your career with ECW, I need to ask, what is your favorite Joey Styles line that you have ever heard him utter?
My favorite Joey Styles line. First one that comes to mind is when I took Total Elimination, and
Oh,
we've been watching ECW going back to the beginning to now, and I still can't remember whether, because he's used this line about 3 times. I can't remember whether I'm the first one that he said it about or not. But I take Total Elimination, and Joey goes, "Wow, somebody call Joel Gertner's parents. Tell them he's not coming home ever." And, and I think he was at a couple of other times, but I may have been the first. But that's definitely the first Joey Styles line that comes to mind. I remember I enjoyed calling him Ferris Bueller one time. Yeah, we have.
I absolutely adored your guys' on-screen presence. You guys made ECW that extra layer, that extra sprinkle on the Sunday, and you two were my absolute favorites.
Oh
You know,
God, voice. The promo for TNN. With
dude, when you and Paul just went off on the execs of TNN,
oh,
and
that was
then Paul
money,
just goes, "You want to get rid of us
money.
now?" Like, just the fact, and it was funny too because the way you delivered it was like somebody who might actually know the truth of
Right?
what you're
Like
saying.
he said it with the utmost confidence, and I'm like, is this really happening?
You had me hooked, sir. Everything you've done in there, you've had me hooked like a fish.
Thank you, dude.
No
I
problem. No problem. It's just been such a blast to talk to. I wanted to make sure we got that in, but like I said, we're gonna let you slide. But I got one final question for you, Joe. One final question. And it's not fancy, it's not in ring, this or that, blah, blah, blah. I gotta ask you this. Now, about a month or so ago, myself and the voice here, we went back and we watched the 1999 November to Remember pay per view. It was a 2-part episode. Our fans loved it. It was great. It was awesome. But in the very beginning of that, there was an in-ring segment with yourself and Taz. And this is the segment that you ended up, respectfully getting choked out by Taz. But that's not the story here, all right? Because I noticed one thing, and the only thing I noticed is that when you dropped down to the ground, a joint fell out of your pocket. And when we said that, when I saw that, I focused on nothing else. I focused on nothing else. I was like, did a joint just fall out of Joe's pocket? Is this what happened? And I told myself on this very episode, you guys can go back and listen to that episode. I said, if I get to talk to Joe Gertner, if I get the privilege and honor to talk to Joe Gertner, I'm going to ask that man, and I'm going to ask you now, did a joint fall out of your pocket?
can neither confirm nor deny.
Oh!
That's not me dodging or ducking the question. That's I can neither confirm nor deny because on the one hand, at that time in '99, I never smoked before or during a show. It would have only been after. So
Yeah, yeah.
so in that respect, I say to myself, there was no reason for it to be in my pocket at that time. So no. But I don't gotta look closely, and you know, I don't know. Is it the grassy knoll and were there two shooters and you got really super focus in on it? Because if it looks like a joint, really, and it seems like a joint, and it must be a joint. So I'm not coming out here to say in 1999 that it couldn't have been Mrs. Barbazoa in the kitchen with red herring because Mrs. Barbazoa never had a red herring. Like it could have conceivably been a joint, but I don't. I I would take the under, uh, but it is not impossible. It is not beyond the realm of possibility.
Oh,
Uh,
I love it.
Joel,
That's
you need to you need to watch out though, because we do have a conspiracy show on this channel.
Ooh,
So
we
we
do.
will look into
We
it,
do. We
and
will
we
look
will make
into
you
it.
a subject, my friend.
I love it. I love it. Now
you're
we have a running gag here.
gonna
The
you're gonna
conspiracy of Joe Gertner.
be able to roll it. You're gonna be like that fingerprint.
I would
Oh
say Sandman's fingerprints is probably all over that one. Just the stories I've heard of that man.
Oh man, what an awesome time, man. This was a great episode. And man, it was such a joy to have you on the show, to speak to you, to soak in your knowledge, to hear your stories, man. I just want to say on behalf of myself, on behalf of the voice here, everybody here in the household and our whole team, thank you so much for taking your time to come and chat with us here in your house, man.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Guys, that is the quintessential stud muffin, Joel Gertner. And guys, this is just a block of shows that you can catch here in your house. It has been great checking this out. If you guys do, make sure you guys go to YouTube. Make sure you guys go to the Twitch, follow us there. And then this episode will be available on the podcast version for Apple Podcasts, for Spotify. So make sure you guys pop us in your ears like you always do. We're getting a lot of traction back on the podcast as far as downloads and everything goes. So make sure you guys go subscribe and everything like that. This is the quality of guests that we are giving you guys, and it's all part of the work. And that's HOWSE. And the W stands for work. So for our great guest, the quintessential stud muffin, Joe Gertner, and the voice, Josh Joseph, I'm Alakan, the Concept House, here to tell you to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to hop on this bandwagon, get on, or get gone, because the household is still going mighty strong. You guys have a great day and a great rest of your week. Peace.
Blow the whistle. ECW, time to begin. We bring the fire, let's draw you in. We are back and ready to strike. This is our moment, our time to shine. In the crowd voice, you hear them shout. In this ring, there's no way out. Homicidal, suicidal if you dare. Survive if I let you try, beware. ECW, can you feel the heat?